Hello, and welcome to the Scale Toolkits series by Global Schools Forum. My name is Julie Bélanger, and I'm a director at Better Purpose. We have been supporting Global Schools Forum as part of the Impact at Scale Lab program. So our mission with the Scale Toolkit series is to empower early stage educational organizations in low and middle income countries, providing them with the tools and best practices they need to scale effectively, sharing our learnings from the Impact at Scale Lab program. So today we'll be diving into the problem tree, a tool designed to strengthen the desirability component of your solution as part of the DVF framework. For those unfamiliar, the DVF stands for desirability, viability, and feasibility, and the DVF framework is central to our approach. It outlines the fundamental components that can indicate your organization is getting prepared for scale. If you haven't already undertaken the DVF assessment, we highly recommend doing so. It can help you reflect on your priorities and understand how this specific tool, so the problem tree tool, aligns with your overall journey to scale. You can easily find it on the Scale Toolkit website. But for now, let's dive into the problem tree. So let me share my screen. So this is the problem tree toolkit. So what is it? It's a tool to define and understand your problem, essentially, which is a really important first step. Before developing your innovation, you have to be really clear what it is you're trying to solve. Now, with this tool, we will use the metaphor of a tree. And a tree has a trunk, and it has roots, and it has branches and leaves. And so keep that in mind as we go through this process and the different steps. Now, this will help you lay really strong foundations for your work going forward. It really is one of the kind of initial steps. It helps your team see the real issue, what's at the root of your problem. What are the root causes of your problem? It helps you tell apart those root causes from what you see on the surface and what some of the outcomes of those root causes might be. And that's important because as you're designing your solution, you have to make sure your solution is targeting those root causes, not just those surface outcomes of your problem. Now, by doing this exercise, you will gain benefits within your team because it's going to help everybody understand your problem in the same way and make sure you're all swimming in the same direction towards trying to solve the same problem. It will also help you understand how different parts of your problem are connected to each other and help you see how some of them you might be able to have an impact or have some control over, whereas others you may not be able to. And it's important to understand where your limitations lie. Another good benefit of doing this problem tree is that it can help you explain the problem to outside people from outside your organization and your team, whether these are people that fund your work or that you want to engage in your work as well. It really quickly with this visual will show them how complex your problem is, but also what it is that you're trying to focus on. So how to develop your problem statement. The first step is finding what is the problem. Now, this is the problem that either your innovation is trying to solve, but it could also be a problem that your organization as a whole is trying to solve. So just be clear about the level at which you're working here, and think about the problem as being the trunk of the tree. So you have your big picture of a tree, put a box on the trunk, and that is where you would put your problem statement. It has to be broad enough that it demonstrates the general aim that you're trying to work on, but specific enough that you can link directly your activities and distinguish your organization's focus from other organizations. So it's not the exact same problem that everybody else is trying to solve. This is the problem you are trying to solve. Try to make it succinct, 1 or 2 sentences maximum. Remember that you will be able to break it down into its root causes, which gives it a little bit more detail in the second stage. So that's your first step, finding your problem. Now, the second step, after you've identified your main problem, it's time to explore what the underlying root causes of that problem might be. It's sometimes helpful to think about brainstorming these root causes, lists of, why is it that teachers don't use effective pedagogical practices in the classroom, if that's your problem? And there might be many, many reasons for why that is. So you'll have lists and lists of root causes. And it might help to put a bit of structure by categorizing them into different buckets. So an example here are, for example, what are some of the individual dimensions that contribute to the problem? So what is it that the teachers bring that make it difficult for them to use the good pedagogical practices in the classroom? Is it because they don't have enough training, not enough experience, they don't care enough, they have other jobs, whatever it might be. So they might have individual kind of dimensions. Then there's what school dimensions maybe contribute to the problem. So maybe the school has really large class sizes, or not enough infrastructure, not enough books and resources, or bad internet, or bad school leaders that don't provide enough instructional leadership, whatever it might be. And then think about wider system dimensions that might affect your problem. So what is it that the system is not supporting teachers to have effective practices in the classroom? And so this might help you organize your root causes a little bit. Once you've done that, then you want to think about the impact or the effect that your problem is having, and things that you're seeing in your branches and the trees of the branches and the leaves of your trees. So it can spread out from the trunk, and at the top of your paper, of your whiteboard, you might have the trees that are more distant impacts, right? So things like this might have an impact on even socioeconomic outcomes, for example, in the country. Similarly to the roots, you could group these into different categories if you'd like. So you might have, for example, academic outcomes, health outcomes, economic outcomes, social outcomes, and group them together if it makes it a bit easier to digest. And the other thing you might want to do once you've got all of your components of your tree filled out, you might want to think about arrows between the different components. Which root causes are leading to which other root causes? And maybe even you can draw lines from your root causes all the way to some of your outcomes that are in your impacts and your leaves and your branches, really helping you understand how your different components of your problem are connected to each other. So in sum, how to develop a problem statement. Here we're giving you an example of filled out problem tree. Hopefully you find it helpful. It's meant to help you see the connections between the different issues and the core problem that you're trying to solve. So it can really help your team gain a deeper understanding of the problem and start thinking about possible solutions for the theory of change, which is the next step. And in this example here, this is an example recently developed with Gyanshala, an organization working in India. And this is the problem tree that they've developed that can help you visualize what a final product might look like. I know that it's a bit small to see on the screen, so hopefully you can see some of it, and it's meant to be a bit of an inspiration for you. Hopefully you can engage your team members and you can workshop this together, as it can be a really, really helpful process to go through together. So let me stop sharing my screen for a second and just really say that, first of all, thank you for listening. Now that you've explored your problem tree and your problem statement, hopefully you're better positioned to really enhance your strategy, especially in that desirability aspect of the DVF tool. To gain a comprehensive perspective on your strategy, you can revisit your DVF assessment scores. And if you haven't taken the assessment yet, well, now's the perfect time. It really offers that holistic view, illustrating how tools like this one on the problem tree align with your broader scaling objectives. Now, Global School Forum is with you in your journey to scale. So for additional strategy tools and inspiring case studies, visit the website, the Scale Toolkit website, and I hope to see you on your scaling journey. Thank you for listening.